Hi, Gemini. It's Denise with Divine Soul Astrology. Today I'm here to discuss the Scorpio full moon. It's happening May 1st. That's May Day. And that's, 5:23 Universal Time. And here on the West Coast, that will be at 10:23 a.m. local time. So, yeah, the full moon in Scorpio is exciting because it can bring real growth. And why? Because of the transformation that can be going on or the regeneration, right? So, the full moon is called the flower moon, Gemini. This is going to be for Gemini, sun, moon, and rising. And the full moon is the flower moon because of springtime here in the Western Hemisphere, right? Now, the full moon is will be deeply transformative. Many of them are because we always have the sun and the moon. They are opposing one another, asking for like a change, really, to merge. But Scorpio is like really transformative, right? It's the eighth house of transformation. So this full moon uh, will illuminate what lies beneath, like beneath the veil, and also encourage emotional honesty because we're going to be able to see things that we might not have been able to see before. The eighth house is the house of the hidden, or Scorpio in the eighth house in the natural chart. And that's what we're really, and when we get to your horoscope, we'll talk about what house the full moon is in. But in general, here, this full moon is concerned with depth and intensity. It sure is. And the full moon is going to help us release old wounds to embrace, regeneration and transform. Why do I say wounds? Because Scorpio is associated, the eighth house is associated with crises. Yeah, it is. So we can, release old wounds and to embrace that growth or that transformation, really, the regeneration. It's also inviting us to balance our material comfort with emotional depth. In other words, okay, and then also to balance comfort and vulnerability, stability with surrender. And so what this means, though, remember I was saying we're trying to have a merging here. The opposition between the sun and the moon is asking us to balance something and merge those energies of the sun and the moon. And the sun is in Taurus, and so, Taurus is concerned with material gain or material financial stability. So the full moon is asking us to balance that, right? Um, with emotional depth, because Scorpio is about emotional depth and also to balance the comfort and the vulnerability. The comfort is Taurus. Taurus wants financial comfort, and the vulnerability is under really kind of, well, it's under both. It can be under Scorpio or Taurus, but this is why they're opposite signs because they are trying to, in astrology, we want to you kind of bring those signs together, the best of both signs, right? Comfort is Taurus, definitely. And sometimes Taurus doesn't want to be vulnerable because they like things to stay the same, and sometimes they will avoid growth or change because they're just thinking this is working for me, right? It's working just fine. But sometimes we need change and we need innovation and we need growth and expansion, and sometimes that can promote endings, right? It can transformation, right? All right, so let's see what we have for you, Gemini, and the sun is in your sixth house of work, health, and daily practical matters. All right, transforming those themes as you let go of um, and release things that are relating to finances or financial stability or attitudes about your well-being or your finances. And Uranus has just moved into your first house here. We can see on the chart. I have your sign here at the ascendant now with the software, so you can see better what's going on here, right? But Uranus is already promoting change. It wants innovation. It wants something to get better. It wants you to kind of it's not so much courage, but yes, kind of act with courage. Step into your own authenticity. Excuse me, you guys. Step into your own authenticity and step into uh your independence in that way, right? That's what that is doing. Uranus is doing there. And the sun in your 12th is saying, let something go related to to these Taurian themes in that 12th house, right? All right, the Mars is the ruler of the full moon. I was just saying that. Oh no, but Mars is the ruler of the full moon, and ruling your sixth and your 11th houses, okay? And the sixth house is work, health, and daily practical matters. That is where the full moon is, right? These are your responsibilities or your obligations or just things you do on a regular basis, your routines, your daily routines. And also, Mars is ruling your 11th house of future aspirations. So there's like a change here with this full moon, right? When Mars is ruling those houses, definitely. Maybe you have a change with your work or your daily routines. Here's the sixth house. We just go six. We always count you. You are a house here, right? You are for sure. This is your first house where Gemini is, but here's the 11th house where Mars sits right smack in the middle of the stellium. And that stellium is, several planets that are really supporting one another or talking to one another in a way where, like, hey, this kind of needs to happen, or you could do it better this way, or don't veer this way, right? So, that's really kind of, I mean, they're kind of, especially the ones who are conjoined, right? And this is, Mercury and Chiron are conjoined here, a perfect conjunction, we can say, both at 27 degrees. Yeah, so there's something here for your future that is transforming. Yeah, Gemini, or you are doing that, and it may be regarding work. It could be. Um, yeah, and so that house where where Mars, the ruler of the full moon, is here, in this 11th house, that is also about, friends, social groups. It is the house of hopes and wishes and gains. All right, usually gains from the 10th house of career. All right. And your 10th house of career is ruled by Jupiter here. Jupiter is in Cancer, in your second house of finance and financial stability, and also your self-worth and your well-being. So there may be something going on with that as well. Yeah, let's see what else I have for you, Gemini. And so Mercury, your natal Mercury is here in Aries as well, in that 11th house of the future, right? Future aspirations, as I was saying. So here's Mercury. Mercury is kind of telling Mars what to do here because, Mars is the kind of the star of the show here because it's ruling the full moon, right? And Mercury is important because Mercury is ruling you. And as I was saying, I don't know if I mentioned in this video, but the opposite sign in a full moon is very important, right? So the opposite sign that is, um, yeah, but the opposite sign here is Taurus from here. But what I was saying here is that, yeah, forget the opposite sign part of kind of getting off here. But Mercury is your ruler and it's in your 11th house of the future. So Mercury is thinking about kind of telling Mars what to do here. And then we have, Saturn and Neptune and Chiron. Maybe there's something healing for you, Gemini, as that will help you with your future aspirations because Mercury is in this perfect conjunction. Mercury's like kind of talking to, Chiron and saying, "Hey, you need to get over this. You need to heal, right?" Pardon my way of kind of direct, but I'm a Sag, right? A Sag sun. So, but you need to heal or you need to get over this or maybe kind of, don't look at it as a vulnerability anymore, or don't see it that way. It can be that because Mercury wants you to understand. It does. It is your ruler and the sign of the mind, right? It's how we think and how we communicate. It represents our ideas and things like that. And Mercury rules your first and your fourth house of the mind-body connection. This is the fourth house of emotional needs, home and family, and what is safe to you. And yeah, and so the sun is making a trine to the south node. Interesting, in your 12th house of endings and release. It's almost like it's saying it's safe. That trine there, it's an earth trine. It's safe to do this. It's safe to move away from the familiar, because that's the South Node is the familiar, which can be the stagnant, which can be what we do so many times, that it just becomes so stagnant and we can become bored with it. The South Node is many, many things, but it is what we are supposed to be moving away from, and it is in your fourth house. All right. Yeah, it's very interesting there. And Mars is making a square to Jupiter in Cancer in your house of finances, financial stability, and self-worth, challenging you to allow expansion and to see the growth potential here. That's what Jupiter is about, and the square. And so let's look at Mars making that square to Jupiter, and here it is, the red line, right? It's gonna wake up, with these red lines, these squares, right? They're challenges, but they're always challenges to make things better for us. That's where make us grow, make us see something, right? Make us fix something, or, so that's why the chart is so unique. Your own chart will show you the areas of your life that can be like fantastic, but sometimes at the same time, it will show us what needs to grow or change. Yeah, highly interesting there. The chart is to nurture your transformation. Really, that's what it's for. So, and I'm approaching the chart in a highly, in a much richer way, in a different way. Um, yeah, it's great, right? So if you'd like a reading with me, check out the description box. It is very empowering and eye-opening as well. But getting back to this, right? Mercury here, Mercury, it's still here with Mars. It is, it's in a very, it's kind of moving away. The conjunction Mercury's moving here a little faster. But Mercury's telling Mars what to do for your future aspirations. That's really what's going on. And Jupiter in Cancer for you. Let's look at Jupiter's in your second house. And we are really talking about, in this video, we are talking about financial stability, financial gain, and self-worth and well-being, because Taurus is being opposed by the moon and the sun is in Taurus, right? And this is your second house. So that is connected to Taurus as well, and Cancer, because it's actually in the sign of Cancer. Yeah, this can be that you are growing emotionally as well. This can be, wow. And with Jupiter here in this second house, or this transformation, you have to allow it because Uranus is here. Well, Uranus will change things for you anyway. Uranus is in your sign, Gemini. Uranus doesn't care if we want change or not. It just comes in, boom. And hey, I'm here now and you're going to change this and that, and I'm going to disrupt your whole world. That's what Uranus is doing there in your first house of self. A lot of changes for you. It could be the way you look, over and I have a video on that, so you can see that as well. That will be actually released before I release this video here. All right, so yeah, and yeah, it can change the way you see your financial situation, possibly with that square from Mars to Jupiter, right? And we talked about Uranus, the big disruptor, right? And Venus is supporting it, right? And I talk about that in the other video, but Venus is it's a benefic, so it is supporting you in your second house, supporting this change at the beginning of the ingress of Uranus into your sign. All right, supporting this change, supporting your finances, supporting your how you communicate with others, supporting your relationships, partnerships, any type, supporting your money. So that's a good thing. All right. So, and your sense, yeah, definitely your sense of self. Um, yeah, and Venus rules your 12th house, right? So 12th house of endings. You feel like you need a change. So the Scorpio full moon will help you. It definitely will, right? Yeah. And so Venus is also ruling your fifth house of creativity, or your sense of self, your self-identity, your self-expression. That's the fifth house. It is our creative pursuits, and it is love and sex and pleasure and children and things like that. And fun, of course, related to pleasure and entertainment. But this is very important here. There's something here about your sense of self or what you want to create that is definitely helping you, Gemini. Yeah, and the moon is, we're talking about the moon in your sixth house of work. So maybe something's changing there, right? We're talking about those six, we talked about the sixth house themes, where the full moon is sitting. Yeah. And the full moon is making a trine to the north node. So here's the full moon, not doing anything to the south node, but to the north node here, right? They're both in water signs. This is can be very deep and psychological for you, or maybe, maybe you're seeing something intuitively. Or remember, at Scorpio, the full moon can rule what we can see that's beneath the veil, what was hidden to us before, right? And Pisces is a hidden sign, and so is Scorpio, right? Scorpio is about depth, and this is about the mystery, the unconscious mind up here. So they're both, they're very similar, but that trine from your sixth house of work, where the moon is trining your 10th house of career and social roles. And this here, this north node, it is can be linked to so many things, but it can be, fate and destiny, where it is where we are wanting to go, though, and it will happen. It is part of our fate and destiny, wherever it is in your own chart, though, not necessarily here. But there is a connection here with what's going on with the astrology, the current astrology. These are transits, right? So they are what planet, or, the node is not a planet, but, where these kind of points, the north node is more of a point in the sky, but wherever these planets are sitting, it will depend in your particular chart where your north node is. That's what you really want to get to. And maybe you were there for some, right? But this is also can be linked to like groups of people, foreigners, right? Maybe you want, these groups of people may be kind of spiritual or mystics, can be, right? Healers, right? Um, or anybody who's concerned with wellness. It's coming from your sixth house of health. But yeah, it's looking really good for you. It definitely is. Yeah, so Gemini, thank you so much for joining me here. Um, yes, if you'd like a reading with me, check out the description box below. You hit the little bell, you'll be notified of my next upload. But I have some great readings on my website, and the charts. I'm approaching the chart from a brand new way, a brand new teacher, and really great. What it shows, the richness, it shows a whole storyline. And your natal chart is helping you to be your best self. That's why we have this here, this the North Node, right? Almost like the North Star. So thanks so much for joining me here, Gemini, and I'll see you in the next video.